History is a blend of fact, interpretation, and imagination. The stories are inspired by historical accounts, myths, and cultural legacies. While we aim to bring history alive, we encourage you to explore, research, and question these narratives.
In the dense heartlands of South India, where rivers carved valleys and forests whispered ancient tales, a dynasty was born, not from royal lineage, but from sheer valor. The Hoysalas, a name that would echo through time, traced their origins to a warrior named Sala. Legend speaks of a fierce encounter. Sala, armed with nothing but his courage, struck down a charging tiger to save his guru. With one decisive blow, the beast fell, and with it, a legacy rose. Yet, was this myth or a symbol of something greater? The Hoysalas emerged as feudatories, their strength forged in the fires of constant battle. Under Narasimha I, they laid the foundation of a future empire, carving their place in history with steel and strategy. They were not just survivors, they were visionaries. And as their banner fluttered against the vast sky, the world would soon learn this was no ordinary dynasty. This was the roar of the lion. The roar of the lion had begun to echo, but an empire is not built on legend alone. It demands ambition, conquest, and an unyielding will. As the Hoysalas grew in strength, Ballala I expanded their reach, securing alliances and fortifying their domain. Yet, it was his successor, Vishnuvardhana, who would shatter the chains of servitude and carve a true empire from the shadows of mighty foes. Under the dominance of the Cholas, the Hoysalas had long fought as vassals, their power restrained, their destiny unwritten. But Vishnuvardhana was no mere feudatory king, he was a force of reckoning. At the Battle of Talakad, he struck like a storm, crushing Chola might and reclaiming lost lands. With each victory, his vision grew bolder. He built cities, raised temples, and transformed his people's identity. The Hoysalas were no longer just warriors, they were rulers. And for the first time, their empire had a throne, waiting to shape history. Victory had crowned Vishnuvardhana, but empires are built on more than just swords, they need a soul, a purpose, a divine sanction. The Hoysalas had long followed the path of Shaivism, their ancestors devoted to the mighty Mahadev. But as Vishnuvardhana stood at the dawn of his rule, a transformation was set in motion, one that would redefine his dynasty. Inspired by the great philosopher Saint Ramanuj, Vishnuvardhana embraced Vaishnavism, seeing in it not just faith, but a unifying force for his empire. Temples rose like celestial marvels, Chennakeshav in Belur, a testament to devotion, its walls whispering tales of gods and mortals. The shift was not just spiritual, it was political, cultural, and artistic. The Hoysalas had found their divine mandate, their identity now sculpted in stone and faith. But with change comes resistance, and not all would welcome this new path. As his kingdom transformed, one question loomed: would faith unite, or would it divide? Faith had reshaped the Hoysalas, but their true legacy would not be written in scriptures alone, it would be etched in stone, immortal and unyielding. Vishnuvardhana's conquests had expanded his empire, but now, he sought to leave behind something greater than victory, a civilization defined by artistry. And so, the temples of Belur, Halebidu, and Somnathpura rose, not just as places of worship, but as monuments of unparalleled craftsmanship. These were no ordinary shrines. Every inch of their walls pulsed with life, sculpted gods frozen in divine dance, warriors locked in eternal battle, celestial beings whispering secrets of the cosmos. The Chennakeshav temple in Belur stood as a beacon of devotion, its intricate carvings more delicate than poetry. Halebidu, once the heart of Hoysala might, became a masterpiece of grandeur. Even in times of war, the chisels never stopped, the artisans never rested. But could beauty alone defy time? Or would the rise of new powers cast shadows over these wonders? The temples stood as silent witnesses to a dynasty's rise, but an empire is not built on stone alone, it thrives on power, wealth, and vision. As the mantle of kingship passed to Veera Ballala II, the Hoysalas stood at the height of their glory. He was not just a ruler, he was an architect of destiny, expanding his realm beyond the boundaries his ancestors had dared to dream. With wisdom and steel, he waged wars that redrew the map of South India, pushing deep into the Tamil heartlands, challenging both Cholas and Pandyas. Yet, his victories were not just on the battlefield. Under his reign, trade flourished, cities thrived, and merchant guilds wove a web of prosperity across the empire. The administration was sharpened to perfection, ensuring that temples, not just as places of worship but centers of economy, stood tall. The Hoysala lion roared at its loudest. But in the distance, storm clouds gathered. Would this golden age endure, or would time reclaim its prize? Power is not just won on the battlefield, it is forged in the halls of diplomacy, in the quiet dealings of merchants, and in the choices of kings who see beyond war. Under Veera Ballala II, the Hoysalas stood unrivaled, but supremacy in South India was never guaranteed. The Cholas still lurked in the shadows, the Pandyas sought dominance, and every alliance was a game of survival. While his armies clashed with rival kingdoms, Ballala's true weapon lay in the hands of his merchants. Vast guilds, known as the Ayavole and Manigramam, stretched their influence beyond borders, binding trade routes from the Deccan to Southeast Asia. Wealth flowed like a river, fueling his ambitions. Through strategic marriages and political maneuvering, he kept enemies at bay while expanding his reach. But war was never far. As old empires crumbled and new ones rose, the Hoysalas stood at a crossroads. Would diplomacy secure their future, or would the clash of swords decide their fate? The Hoysalas had mastered war and diplomacy, but the tides of destiny are ever-changing. As Veera Ballala III ascended the throne, he inherited more than an empire. He inherited a battlefield. The Cholas had fallen, the Pandyas were ascendant, and from the north, a new threat loomed like a gathering storm. The Delhi Sultanate's ambitions reached the Deccan, and the Hoysalas stood in its path. Ballala was no passive ruler. He fought with the fury of his ancestors, leading campaigns to reclaim lost ground, forging alliances where swords failed. But the battlefield was no longer just territorial, it was within his own court, where internal strife and treachery weakened the foundation of his rule. The empire that had once dictated terms was now fighting to survive. He refused to yield, but destiny is merciless. The lion still roared, but was it a cry of defiance or the echoes of a fading legacy? The answer lay in the battles yet to come. The storm had arrived. The Delhi Sultanate, a force unlike any the South had faced before, sent its most feared general, Malik Kafur. With fire and steel, he carved a path of destruction, and at the heart of his conquest stood the last great bastion of the Hoysalas, Dwarsamudra. Veera Ballala III, old but unbroken, knew this was not just another war. This was survival. The Hoysala warriors, outnumbered but resolute, stood their ground, their swords glinting against the advancing tide. Battle after battle, they defeat the invaders, refusing to let their legacy be erased. But treachery and exhaustion took their toll. Dwarsamudra, the seat of Hoysala power, burned as Kafur's forces unleashed devastation. Ballala was captured, humiliated, and slain, a king who fought till his last breath. The empire fell, but the spirit of the Hoysalas did not. Their temples endured, their legends lived on. The lion had been silenced, but its roar would echo through history, refusing to fade. Empires fall, kings perish, but legacies endure. The Hoysalas may have met a tragic end at the hands of Malik Kafur, but their presence never faded. Their temples still stand, silent yet defiant, their stone carvings whispering tales of an age when the lion roared. The intricate shrines of Belur, Halebidu, and Somnathpura remain unparalleled, their craftsmanship inspiring generations of artisans. But their impact was not just in stone. The administrative brilliance of the Hoysalas laid the groundwork for the Vijayanagara Empire, which carried their vision forward. Their patronage of literature and art nurtured Kannada and Sanskrit traditions, ensuring that their cultural contributions outlived their reign. The echoes of their governance still influence local self-administration in parts of Karnataka. Though their empire was reduced to ruins, their spirit never crumbled. Every carved pillar, every temple spire, every tale passed down through time stands as proof. The Hoysalas may have been conquered, but they were never truly defeated. Time may have buried their empire, but the spirit of the Hoysalas was never erased. Beyond their famed rulers and grand temples, there were kings whose names history whispered rather than shouted, rulers who held the line, who shaped the land, and who ensured that the Hoysala legacy would not vanish with the fall of Dwarsamudra. Their impact stretched far beyond their own time, influencing the very fabric of South Indian history. Even in their decline, the remnants of their rule endured. Their architectural marvels set the foundation for later dynasties, their administrative systems shaped governance, and their patronage of art and literature breathed life into Kannada and Sanskrit traditions for centuries. Vijayanagara rose from their ashes, carrying forth the dreams they once envisioned. The Hoysalas may no longer rule, but their presence is everywhere, in the temples that defy time, in the stories passed down through generations, and in the indomitable spirit of a people who refuse to forget. The lion's roar was never silenced. It simply became eternal.